Today we are going to build a skill that's absolutely crucial for piano playing. As you probably know, there are many different ways to move our hands while pressing the keys, and choosing the right type of motion can make a huge difference in how efficient and expressive our technique is. In my courses, I often talk about the benefits of, let's say, rotational motions, like in situations like in all those rotational spots, as well as in and out motions where we move out of the keyboard or in the keyboard for spots like, let's say, so there are many spots where those motions can be beneficial, and these are foundational to a healthy and versatile technique. Now, today, we are going to build another skill that might seem counterintuitive, and there are a lot of counterintuitive things in piano playing at first, but it is incredibly useful. So if you find this lesson helpful, please consider checking out my full piano courses by following the link in the description. And if you want to connect with me personally, we also have monthly Zoom meetings on my Patreon, where we discuss everything piano related and where you can ask me anything. So, if I ask you to play a key, most people would instantly think of moving downwards, like the forearm goes down and the finger presses down, like seems logical, right? But what if I told you that sometimes it's actually better to move up while playing a key? Sounds strange to some of you, I know. But the problem is that many learners have this mindset that in order to play a note, you have to fall on it. So then you lift the arm and fall again for the next strike. So then we have this kind of situation, which doesn't work at all, yeah? And you feel like, what I'm doing wrong? What is not working? And I have a pretty good technique, but even I couldn't handle this spot playing like this. So instead, let's develop a different skill. Try this. Place your finger on a key and let it rest here, fully relaxed. Your wrist should be roughly at the key level. We have a nice arch in the knuckles, but overall relaxation in all the fingers. Now, give a small impulse downward through the finger and the wrist. So these parts, they go down, while your forearm moves slightly up simultaneously with this motion. So this part moves down and this part moves up. That's the key insight here. Your forearm and hand are moving in opposite directions. And this is what is counterintuitive, and you really have to understand this principle. Then it will be easier, then it will become your second nature. So think of it like sinking to the bottom of a swimming pool. You dive down, and once your feet touch the ground, you push off to float effortlessly back to the surface. Just as important is that moment you reach the bottom of the key, instantly release all tension in all the fingers. So train this fast relaxation. So to get the feeling at first, exaggerate this motion. Play anything. You can play Heinon. You can play something more sophisticated like Rachmaninoff. Doesn't matter, depending on your level. I would suggest you to start really slowly to grasp the nature of this motion and to rewire your brain if this motion is something unusual for you. So at first we're going to exaggerate this motion and lift your forearm higher, unblock your motion completely. Feel how free it can be, and relaxing the finger fully. So it has to be absolutely loose after the strike, like this. And play like a good, decent forte, just to train your fingers to feel that. Support a sensation of pushing off the bottom of the key. And after you're done, take your time to return to the initial position without tension, very quietly. So a very strong impulse, which pushes your forearm up, and then get back to the initial position without tension, smoothly. Take your time. Because we want this returning motion to be like a slow descent rather than falling down. So we don't want to fall down on the keys. We want to dive to the keys the way you would dive through the water. You see, so then we are not falling down on the keys. We are returning to them quietly. That way, you won't miss the next strike because you already feel the key. You are already in the contact of the key. And because you're so well connected to the keyboard before the strike, you can shape the sound more delicately. Then, of course, we're going to minimize those motions. So we're not going to raise our forearms much, but we are going to have this sensation of raising the forearm. So this is what happens here. And this will help us to play more efficiently and more expressively. Take, for example, this trill, which is played after those staccato notes. And very often, players who fall down on the keys and who think that we have to raise the fingers, raise the arms between the strikes, they start this trill also with an accent. Then it sounds not like Mozart, it sounds quite rough. So in order to make it sound like Mozart, we have to play these staccati elegantly and start the trill without an accent, juxtaposing those staccati, energetic, elegant staccati, and expressive singing trill. So then we get something like... Even this part, if we fall down on the keys, you see, it sounds a little bit more mechanic, you have more tension, you're less accurate, but if you jump off the key, you are more likely to relax, to avoid static tension, and you are more likely to shape it musically better. Or even these chords. When you fall down, you see how rigid it feels, because I have to tense up in order to land on correct keys. But if I push off, I can relax, I can voice these chords, I can play them elegantly. Or look, for example, at the beginning of this sonata. You could fall on those staccati as well, which results in a very tense sound and looks awkward. Or you can use this technique and get still a dramatic character. But still sound more noble, more elegant, and that is essential for Mozart. Here's another situation where this technique can mean the difference between a complete disaster and a decent performance. So watch my fifth finger here. So, most learners would try to handle this spot by providing a physical legato and moving on a downward curve. And this is the shortest path to misery, struggle, and pain. So don't do this. Don't fall into the provocation that when you see a legato and when you see an expressive line, that you have to connect everything with the fingers. Because especially in this spot, it's so uncomfortable. So anti-human, you know. So you'd need freakishly long fingers and a massive handspan to feel at ease here. And if that's you, I hate you, man. Just kidding, sort of. So what I do instead of torturing myself with a forced legato is to play the notes played with the fifth finger staccatissimo. bouncing off the keys with an immediate release. So in order to master this spot, you would need to practice several days in a row like this. Teaching your hand to jump off the key and your forearm to deliver the fingers to the next position instantly without any tension. If you do it for several days, then it will be more and more natural. And I think that this spot might be awkward always because it's just a very uncomfortable spot, but at least this way you will be able to manage it in most situations. So in such spots, whenever you think about legato, phrasing, whatever, you do it with your ears and with your pedal, but not with fingers, not with physical legato, because this restrains you. So next time you see a staccato or encounter a physically uncomfortable spot, ask yourself, should I press into this note or should I jump off it? So to an untrained eye, these techniques might look different from the side, especially when a performer plays very quickly. But the difference in mindset, in physical sensations, and in sound can be very important, quite crucial. So thank you for watching this and see you next time.